Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty league, PPR league, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, brought to you by our GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is Mark Souza. It is Super Bowl 53 coming up this Sunday, and there are some massive daily fantasy drafts coming up for that big game. I already have a lineup. I'll tell you mine in a little bit, and how you react to it, and I'll have also you react to it, my friend. But we will also be talking about every single position there can be in the Super Bowl, and what can we expect from each team, and what can we expect from these if there's even an unexpected outcome.
And this is the are we doing the showdown captain mode, or what are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
captain mode. It's that's the one I believe that's available. That's the one for $1 million for first place. So I'm assuming that's what everyone's going for. Well, I guess that's where we can start with. Let's just start with that. So you're selecting a captain. Who are you selecting? A quarterback? Are you selecting a running back? Are you selecting a wide receiver?
Well, I mean, before we jump into that, we should probably break down the game, right? Like, what kind of game do we expect to see? What do we expect based on, I don't know, performances by the Patriots in the past, in terms of who's on their team and who they played against? So let's break that down before we kind of jump into our lineups. What do you think about that?
Okay, sure, not a problem.
Yeah, so let's start right there. I mean, obviously the Patriots are a 3-point favorite. We know that the Vegas line is 57 is the over-under, so they're expecting some points in this game. Not crazy high. I think if we saw a Chiefs-Saints matchup, or even a Chiefs-Rams, I think the number might be higher there. Do you see a high-scoring football game?
I do. I really do.
So what is your prediction of the game? Not fantasy. But
Just who's going to win, lose?
Who do you think is going to win? What do you think the score is going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be a 38-35 victory for the Patriots.
38-35 for the Patriots. Okay, so you do see a lot of points. You like 73 total points, which would crush the over-under. I have the Rams winning this football game, 31-28, which the over would hit slightly. So I think we both
see this
as a higher scoring game. I think it would be disappointing if it wasn't a high scoring game. You want to know a fun fact?
I love fun facts.
In all the Super Bowls that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have played or coached in, the Patriots have scored only 3 points in the first quarter of all of them combined. Isn't that interesting?
That is actually very interesting.
What's with the slow starts with the Patriots?
It doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish, right? When it comes to the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, the Patriots are looking to finish better this year than they did last year.
They did lose, that's true.
But yeah, I kind of do expect a little bit more offense. I think we'll see more scoring early in this game as well. I can't remember the number that the Patriots have given up, but they usually don't give up too many points in the first quarter anyways. Do you also know that the Patriots always play these games close? All the Super Bowls that these two guys, again, the Brady-Belichick era, they've all been decided by 8 points or less. A few of them have been decided by even lower than that, field goals and things like that. So we both predict another competitive game, maybe both teams to play well. For the Rams, do you think they score? Because you have the Rams scoring 35 points. Do you think the bulk of that comes from the passing game, the running game? How do you kind of see that being divided
Honestly,
up?
I think it's going to be mainly a running game, but I can see some short passes in the red zone that can get in the end zone. But I think getting to that red zone, I think it's going to be a lot of running the ball.
So you think most of the touchdowns, because you have them scoring 5 touchdowns, so you would say 3 or 4 on the ground?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
1 or 2 possibly in there? Or maybe a random special team touchdown or defensive touchdown, something weird.
Maybe, but I do see like C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley both getting touchdowns this game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kind of like the Dallas game where they both had good games. Now, for the Patriots, offensively speaking, they've been running the ball quite a bit. They've used Michelle. They've used Rex
Michelle
Burkhead.
has had 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
You know, Rex Burkhead had 2 touchdowns on the ground last game in the AFC Championship, including the winner. Mm-hmm. He had a couple, too. Are we expecting more of the same from the Patriots, or are we maybe expecting a more vintage-type Tom Brady game?
I might see James White getting the ball a lot.
In the passing game or the running game?
Passing game, mainly. I think it's going to be a lot of short passes to James White. That's
so
their bread and butter.
You're thinking maybe more of a vintage type of Patriots where
Absolutely.
they throw the ball more than rely on the run.
It's because of that defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
That defensive line is better than that secondary. The secondary is good, don't get me wrong, but that defensive line is scary. Aaron Donald is a scary, scary man.
Have you seen the picture of him with no shirt on?
I have not.
People are saying he looks like Thanos from Avengers because he's so huge.
That's terrifying. That makes him more terrifying.
I don't know if I've ever seen a defensive lineman that ripped. Like, he is not. Usually they have like a layer of fat over them. Not him. He is terrifying.
Yeah, if you met him in a dark alley, you would run.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Now, I want to talk about, I guess, that pass rush for a little bit.
Go for it.
Because the Rams have such a fearful pass rush, does that sway you from playing Tom Brady in a fantasy football lineup because you think maybe he'll have to get the ball out quick? Maybe, again, they run the ball more in the end zone. They don't have a lot of long touchdown passes. Does that come into play?
Definitely. I think it's a big factor in that where you look at just they're different. He's a totally different beast than what they're used to. This is a very different team, like a very different type of strength. You know what I mean? Just they've stopped. Oh my God!
Yeah,
he just showed me a picture. He just showed me a picture of Aaron Donald, and he does look like Thanos if he was human.
Here's another picture in the gym. That guy is.
How can you not be afraid of that man? That's why I'm saying this offensive line of the Patriots.
No wonder he tosses offensive linemen around like they're not even there.
No wonder he had 20 sacks this season.
Mm-hmm.
And why? This is why I'm saying, if I'm a Patriots lineman, I'm like, I hope to God I don't have to line up with him. But you're gonna, and it's gonna be tough.
How about the aspect of Brandon Cooks playing against his former team, fantasy-wise? Does that make you a little shy about adding Brandon Cooks to your lineup, or do you actually think you want him in your lineup because, I don't know, revenge game, or maybe he knows the defenders just as well as they know him? What is your take on that?
Brandon Cooks is a gamble for me just based off the fact, like you said, that defense knows him. And I think he'll try too hard to prove them wrong type thing, and it might. I don't think he's going to get a lot of the looks, to be honest with you.
The Rams like to spread it out.
Yes.
They also like to use the same personnel pretty much the entire game.
Yeah. But we also know they run the ball down your throat.
But do they run the ball more than the Patriots will?
I believe so. Because of the fact that short passing game, death by a million paper cuts, is going to be their key to winning. It always has been, always will be.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about Robert Woods in this game? Now, we talked about Brandon Cooks.
You like him in this game.
I do like him in this game. I like him a lot in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I like Robert Woods a lot, and I'll tell you why. Not only is he a good receiver, a very good receiver, but he's a well-rounded football player. He is super good in the blocking game, and I think that he's kind of the Swiss Army knife for that offense. And because he's so good at different things, and he can be used in end arounds, he can be used blocking, I think that it gives him the ability to get open a lot because defenses don't know how to read him. When he comes off the line of scrimmage, he's usually close to the tight end. He's usually close to the quarterback. He's never split out wide. And it makes it difficult to cover a guy like that because he can go inside, outside, short, long. I do like him in this game. On our football podcast, and if you guys haven't checked that out, please check out Just the Football Podcast on the GSMC Podcast Network. I did predict him to get MVP. And I don't know. I know that might be a little bit of a left field call there. It's hard to for a
mine was
too.
also left field.
It's hard to give a wide receiver an MVP, especially one that's not, a legend. Because Robert Woods is not a legendary player. He's a really good player. But I don't know, man. There's something about this game. I just feel like Robert Woods, he also played for the Bills for a number of years.
This is also what is a fantasy football stereotype where you're the feeling guy. I got the feeling that this guy's going to have a good game, I think everyone has a feeling like someone's going to have a good game here or there, like the unexpected outcomes. And I get that, absolutely. And he played with the Bills. He's played against the Patriots more times than probably anyone else on the Rams team. You can arguably say, and so that will be a big factor. But I do have to say that my MVP choice, I chose on the Football Podcast Sony Michel, but I have been thinking about it since that podcast, and it would be between, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the running backs, and that could be also James White. And that is actually one of the problems I have with my draft, my daily fantasy, is the captain mode. Do my two options in my head are: do I go Sony Michel or do I go with James White?
Or do you go Rex Burkhead? That's the problem with the Patriots backfield all the time, is that they can both have a good game, or all three of them can have a good game. In fact, last matchup in the AFC Championship game, Rex Burkhead had 2 touchdowns. Rex Burkhead was a good fantasy performer. Very cheap price.
But they always have different guys showing up at different games.
That's
They never have a. That's why I'm saying Sony Michel's had good games, and Rex Burkhead, maybe James White's due for a good game.
And James White had arguably an MVP Super Bowl before.
Okay, let's be honest. That was a Super Bowl MVP.
He kind of got screwed.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Brady, even Brady said he thought he should get it. He scored 20 of their 34 points.
Yeah, he had 200 total yards in that game. What, 2 or 3 touchdowns?
How do you not give that to him? I'm sorry. Who decides?
He had 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion in that game.
Who decides the Super Bowl MVP?
I don't know.
We should fire that guy.
It's not a fan vote. It's
whoever did it was dead wrong. I think we can both agree on that. It should not just be a quarterback award. I'm sorry. There's more than the quarterback that can be MVP.
Which is funny because neither one of us picked a quarterback to win the MVP, which is kind of dumb. One of us probably should have, or both of us.
But the thing is, let's just go with the not obvious choices. Let's go see if we can have a unusual pick. Not
Yes.
a oh, that's so obvious. Why are you doing a podcast type pick?
Right.
Does that make sense? What I just said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So. Yes.
What about the Patriots side of things? Julian Edelman, he's got a tough assignment being guarded by Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib is somebody who's very familiar with Julian Edelman. He's a very physical defensive back.
There has been trash talking on one end of that for sure.
Is this a matchup that you think Aqib Talib might get the upper hand in, or do you still think Edelman will have a good game and possibly be a great performer on Sunday?
I would say Edelman gets at least 15 throws to him. I think he gets at least 7 to 8 catches.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to say he's going to.
You think we'll see Talib line up on him and shadow him one-on-one?
Probably in a couple plays. I just hope if they go to zone, then they're in trouble because Edelman's going to go off on them because Brady knows how to tear up a zone defense. So I think man-to-man is probably the way to go against a Brady team. But I still think Edelman's going to get the ball a lot, but I don't think it's going to be like 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to be like 7 catches for like 50 yards and just be crucial catches for first downs, you know?
What if the defense can flood the zone, though, and only rush 3 or 4 players at Brady and get pressure and then put 7 or 8 guys in zone? Would that be like,
Well,
I know what you're saying
that's a huge
about,
what if, though. That's
I know
a big
you're
one.
saying that zone, you think that is probably not the best approach.
I've just seen it over and over again that Brady tears that apart.
Mm-hmm.
Brady knows when to throw because he loves those short passes in the zone. Like the short passes are perfect for zone defense because they're just quick and accurate and they get first downs. That's what Brady loves to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you push those guys off in the front right off the bat in man to man, maybe he doesn't go do those quick passes right away. Maybe
I think the biggest question facing daily fantasy owners on Sunday, and I think we can both agree on this, the biggest question is the Todd Gurley conundrum. I think that's the biggest question because he has the ability to be an MVP of this game. He has the ability to get 200 yards rushing on his best day. Like, we all know that he can go off, but we also know that he is probably hurt. He hasn't been the same guy over the last 6 weeks as he was before. And you have to kind of wrestle with that as a daily fantasy football player this weekend. Am I or aren't I going to play Todd Gurley? And if I do, is he my captain? Because we know that is a big commitment. And yes, that is a risk, but the reward is great if it works out.
I'm playing him, but I'm not making him my captain. There's just too many questions. It's safe to play him, not safe enough to put him my captain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's too much risk for me. There's too many question marks, and I don't like question marks. I don't like the Riddler from Batman.
He has
too many question marks.
Do you like playing that type of daily fantasy?
Not really, to be honest with you. But I mean, I understand why it's a thing. It makes sense because if you have a guy that gives you all the points, you're like, man, I wish other people would have came up big time for me, and then he can make up for those kind of points. I get that.
The showdown mode?
Yeah, makes sense. And it's appropriate for a Super Bowl.
It makes
showdown.
a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Just because, I mean, like you said, like there's only one game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who the highest priced player is for the captain? I think you'll be surprised.
I think it was James White. If I'm not
Julian
Edelman. That's right. James White was up there, if I remember correctly.
I'm staying away from that.
Julian Edelman or James White?
There's no way that I'm paying for Julian Edelman to be my captain and take 32.
I don't have him on my team. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I think there's better value there, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so what is your take about Gurley? Yeah, I know you said you'll play him. What kind of game do we expect from Gurley? Do we even think that he's going to get majority of the touches in that backfield? What's your take?
God, that's a tough question, to be honest with you. See, I don't know. That's the thing. This is the biggest question going into the game, I feel like. Or one of the biggest questions, at least. Because we just don't know the ramifications. We don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. We're kept in the dark about this. They could say all they want, but we really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, he's going to say, I'm healthy.
Do you think C.J. Anderson will play a big part in this game?
I do. I think he'll get a lot of the carries as well.
All right. So if there was 27 carries, how many does Gurley get and how many does C.J. get?
17 for Gurley, 10 for
really?
CJ,
so a lot more for Gurley then.
But the thing is, I think 2 weeks is enough to heal Gurley, but I don't think they're going to have him do 30 carries or 27 carries.
But are you concerned because last game Gurley had only 6 touches the whole game?
Yes, but it's like I said, it's a 2-week period of resting. I think he's going to be okay. And it's the Super Bowl, so I think they're going to push him no matter what type of thing.
It's the Catalina wine mixer.
Nice Step Brothers reference.
Yeah.
From 2008.
That is such a good movie.
Can you believe that was 11 years ago?
I love the music video in that movie.
Oh, where they break the boat, destroy the boat. It's good.
I know. I don't know about you, but I can recite most of the lyrics of that song, and they're not appropriate for this podcast.
You're not. Don't repeat. I know some of the lyrics, and I already know a lot of it. It's a lot of slurs, so please don't repeat that.
Funny as heck.
Please don't repeat that. I'm begging you.
What can you say?
I can say, don't repeat that. Don't sing the song right now.
Gotta have meat. Never mind. All right. Anyways.
I'm sorry. Dude.
We gotta go to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about... We're gonna give our 3 players each that we are absolutely starting. We might change our lineups. I don't know about you, but I'm a big lineup tinkerer.
I change it too.
I tinker it. I probably shouldn't.
I'll probably change it during this podcast.
Yeah. But we'll give you our 3 absolutes.
Yeah, we'll tell you what to invest in. And speaking of investing, when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make up to 10 times the annual stock market gain in just a few short months. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There is a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So once again, you want to take advantage of this? Go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We finished talking about fantasy football. Now we're going to talk about more about fantasy football.
I thought you were going to say, welcome back to the GSMC Catalina Wine Mixer.
Do you want to do this podcast on your own?
I actually want to offer services to the men out there.
Whoa. What is going on?
Let me explain. For $250, I'll pretend to be a couples therapist and convince your girlfriend she's wrong about everything.
To all the women watching, I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to move on.
That is a service that I will provide.
Stop talking. Moving on.
I guess I could do it.
This
for
is
the
not
women too.
Stop while you're ahead. This is not ending well.
All right.
Let's talk about fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
And about fantasy football, we got to look at our lineups.
Our
very key lineups. Or do you want to talk about unexpected surprises? Or do you want to do that last?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you.
We got to do our 3 absolute starts. And then we'll talk about some off-the-radar moves that we're interested in that might give us the leg up on our opponents. But we're talking about the 3 players that if you don't have in your lineup, you don't expect to win the $1 million or whatever contest you're playing in this weekend. Go ahead.
I think this is obvious. Tom Brady.
Okay. But then you are counting on some touchdown passes. Like you probably need 2 or 3 if you're picking.
But it's
Brady.
the short. But he loves that short touchdown passes.
But you're not picking him for short passes. You're picking him for 6 points, right?
Short passes that get in the end zone. Those short passes will eventually be in the end zone.
I agree. I actually think I might pick Goff.
Really? I've had doubts about him. He was in my lineup, and I changed him recently.
Well, so neither one of these two are in my top 3. They're
Really?
not absolutes because they're so close in price. I'm going to take one of them, but I might switch them. Like I don't know.
I've been debating that as well, but I've been leaning towards more Brady than Goff because Goff is giving me more doubts than Brady is.
I am definitely putting Robert Woods as my absolute start.
He's in my lineup
I can't say that he might
You
win
are
MVP.
so high on him.
Well, I mean, if I think that he has a good chance of winning MVP and he's like the 8th highest priced player, he has to be my number 1. I don't know if I'll make him my captain, but I think I'll definitely have him as one of my 3. I have to have him in my lineup plays.
Well, my other one is my MVP also choice is Sony Michel. 5 touchdowns last 2 games. It just feels like the momentum's going to keep carrying.
You like Sony Michel?
I like Sony Michel a lot. He has impressed me this entire season.
Yeah.
Over 100 yards in the last 2 games and 5 touchdowns total. That's progress. That's showing that he can get they might run the ball. But it all depends on that line, too.
What about James White?
He's my 3rd.
James White. So you're going heavy. You're going all Patriots offense. Huh?
I am.
Are you worried about Sony
it's
Michel because of that Ram? The Rams have been real stingy against running backs, especially running backs, like the guys that run inside.
But that offensive line is also excellent and elite as well. That's why I'm saying this is going to be a battle. But that's why I'm also going with James White because he's a great receiving guy.
I have White as my number 2 because I think the Patriots will have trouble running the football effectively, and I think because of that, White will be on the field more. And
if I had to add if I had a Ram player on there, I might have to go with Todd Gurley just to play it safe, just on the basis of the fact that regardless, I think he's getting the ball a lot.
He is a risk. Last week or 2 weeks ago, 4 carries. He had 16 the week before. He had 12 the week before.
But the thing is, what gives me the most about Todd Gurley is his 2-week rest. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that and it's also the Super Bowl. This is not just a regular playoff game. This is it. This is the granddaddy.
Gurley is in mine.
Gurley's in yours. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of my top 3 because
I said if I have to pick a Rams player, I would put him in over probably
I think
Michel.
he'll be popular, but I think there will be some worry about Todd Gurley, so I think he won't be in all the lineups where he probably would be in every lineup.
There's obviously some doubt in there.
Yeah, so I'm going to hope that Gurley has a big game and that, 30, 40% of lineups don't have him in there. I don't know if it'll be that high, but it could be.
That is a high number for the best player on their team, arguably.
Right,
on the offensive side.
Yeah, no, it is. But the doubt. The doubt. He had 8 fantasy points last game.
Yeah, but again,
he 5 times.
But I don't know if that was. I don't know what the problems were. I don't know if we don't know the extent of his injury, but it's the Super Bowl, so I'm assuming he's going to get more time on the field than not because again, this Super Bowl it's the Super Bowl. It's super.
Mm-hmm. So those are my 3. So again, you have Brady, Michel, White. I have Woods, White, Gurley. I'm just so iffy on the quarterback. I think I might go Brady, but I could easily go Goff.
You see, it's the classic.
I trust Brady more, but I think Goff has higher upside. Like they could be throwing more.
But I'm gonna say it like this: I'm gonna go with the devil I know than the devil I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Brady.
And the devil went down to Georgia, which is interesting.
What?
The devil went down to Georgia?
Is that a song?
That's a song, a classic. And where's the Super Bowl?
In Atlanta, yeah. But the thing is, like how I said it, I'll go with the devil, Tom Brady, because I know how he does in the Super Bowl compared to the guy I don't know who's been struggling in the playoffs as of late.
Too bad
Jared
you can't
Goff.
pick Nick Foles, huh?
Or Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Drew Brees.
So,
wow, there's a lot of quarterbacks so much better than Jared Goff that could have been in the Super Bowl.
Of your 3 must starts, which one are you worried about the most?
Michel. I know I said he could be my potential MVP, but Aaron Donald versus Michel is my worry.
Obviously mine, I'm worried about Gurley the most just because I feel like he could have a game like he had against the Saints, and then that would crush my team.
or he can have a game like he did in the divisional round.
Yeah.
And just go
But
off.
even if he, honestly, if we're being honest, though, if he has a game like he did in the divisional round, I'm probably not going to win any money. I need him to have a big game because in the divisional round. Is he going to be your captain? Well, even if he's not, C.J. Anderson was the back that got the most points in the divisional round and in the NFC Championship game. So C.J. Anderson outperforms Gurley, no matter if Gurley's my captain or not. And if I don't have C.J. in my lineup, it's probably bad news for me because I don't have a piece of
the better player that C.J. Anderson?
What's that?
I'm saying how much is C.J. Anderson?
Well, Gurley is 13.
He's 5,200.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Which side is that?
That is DraftKings.
52? I'm looking at 78.
Really?
Yeah.
I see him at 52.
Yeah, I don't know if it's...
See? I'm showing him the proof.
Is that the... I don't...
That's the captain mode.
Oh, okay. Maybe this is the captain price that I'm looking at. Yes, it is.
Oh, captain... Yep, those are two different things.
Yep. So, yeah.
Because,
it's the same thing.
Because Julian Edelman and, like you said, captain is $16,000. I don't think that's his actual price.
Mm-hmm.
And when Brian Hoyer, the backup quarterback for the Patriots, is $9,000...
Would you rather have... I mean, obviously, I know your answer, but you'd rather have the Patriots backfield than the Rams backfield because you like both of them.
I love both of them,
you'd
but
rather
if I
go
had
White, Michelle over C.J. Gurley?
Yeah, I might pick all three running backs for the Patriots, to be completely honest with you, but I don't think I'll do that.
Burkhead?
I'm thinking about Burkhead, but also Gostkowski. Go with the kicker. Kicker brings in points in these type of games.
Gostkowski, huh?
Yeah. Or even Zerline.
What about defense?
See, I think of this as a high-scoring game, so I don't want to risk...
You're looking for big plays.
Yeah, exactly. But the kickers can bring in a lot of points if this just turns into a defensive struggle.
I like Zerline.
You like Zerline? Burkhead or Zerline? Who do you go for? If you have like what I have, at the moment I can change that at any time I want. But I have right now Michelle and James White. Do I go with Burkhead or do you go with Zerline?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
I go with Zerline.
Yeah,
if I had to choose.
That's who I've been mainly leaning towards as well. I basically done 3 Rams and 3 Patriots. That's how I did my lineup. I evened it out.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is probably the best bet. Don't go fall on one team.
Gotcha. I think we should take a break, and we come back.
Sure.
We'll talk about off-the-radar type plays, maybe some moves. I have a couple players that I am very interested in. I think that they could have good games in that really low prices, and we'll talk about that. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk to you about investing and planning for your retirement. It's always best to get the advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. According to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent, though, this window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. This dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's predicted up to this point, and you can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So again, go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We just talked about our must-starts. Now let's go with our not-so-must-starts. That make sense?
Sure. Okay. So you wanted to go a different route? Okay. So where are we going? Who are you not starting?
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Our unlikely starts. Sorry. I said that. I inadvertently said that.
I wanted to talk about off-the-radar type of
That's
plays.
what I meant to say. I misworded that.
Gotcha. I'll go first. I really like tight end Gerald Everett for the Rams in this game because, look, the Patriots are not good against tight ends. They did an admirable job against Travis Kelce last week, but he did still score. But the fact is, we're looking at a guy in Gerald Everett that he could get the ball 4 or 5 targets thrown his way. He's super cheap. His salary is only $2,000. I mean, he's going to be on the field like 99% of the plays. And to get somebody on the field in an offense like that, he'll be on the field all the time. It could be a decent play.
Yeah.
What about you?
So it's hard to think about this, but see, I'm in a bind here because this is such a crucial game, and there's only a few players you can really look at, and you don't even know if they're going to get like some time in the game or not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But thinking about it, remind me again who you said.
I said Gerald Everett, tight end of the Rams.
I said this last week, but I might either go. I'm stuck between. It's New England players again, by the way, but Philip Dorsett and Chris Hogan. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to lean more towards Chris Hogan because Brady gives him the ball in crucial times, like we saw last week. And honestly, I know he's cheap, and I know he's probably not going to get a lot of touches, but he might get some crucial touches that might give you some points that might get you over the hump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've always liked Chris Hogan, too.
For sure. I like Philip Dorsett slightly more, but I'm not big fans of either one. I don't know.
But, of course, this is the under-the-radar desk. It's not supposed to be the obvious.
But I got to ask you, how about we break this down? Which Patriots receiver do you think is going to have the best game? Is it Edelman? Is it Gronk? Do you think Gronk has the best game of all of the Patriots pass catchers?
Non-running back receivers?
Yeah, of the pass catchers, yes.
Edelman is his go-to guy is why I'm considering him. But I think they're going to rely a lot more on the shorter passing games to the running backs more than the actual receivers.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
That's just how I see it, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like Dorsett might be the one of the two between him and Hogan that might have the big play.
Mm-hmm.
But man,
you mean like a couple years ago when Edelman had that balance catch type of thing?
What about Rex Burkhead though, man?
It's one of those things. I see it as more along lines of there's gonna be different games where people are gonna be good, and like I'm saying, like there was Michelle's great game, then there was Burkhead's great game. Now it's due for somebody else to have a great game. It's never the same person.
Burkhead last game had 16 touches. He had 5 the game before. He had 6 the game before. He had 17 the game before that. He's had at least 9 fantasy points in 4 straight games. He could be an interesting play at such a cheap price, $4,800.
Yeah,
because he might get you a touchdown. Like he might just run the ball in the end zone, like he did last game in the AFC Championship. He had 2. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'd probably rather have C.J. Anderson than Burkhead because they're about the same price.
I would too.
But it is interesting.
It's tough, but I think there's a lot of inconsistency with how hot players get. So I always think that there's gonna be somebody else that is next in line for a breakout game. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Gronk?
He had a good game last week, but again, this season's been very poor for him. And I just don't...
Is that 6,000 price?
That seems too much, honestly. I know it's...
He had 11 targets last week, though. That's a big number.
But the thing is, they put him one-on-one. They were taking advantage of a one-on-one opportunity, and I don't think they're going to have him go one-on-one this game.
Yeah. I really like Josh Reynolds. I'll be honest with you. Josh Reynolds has at least 7 targets in 5 of his last 8 games. If you get 7 targets, that's pretty good. 5,400 price tag. I like that. Could be interesting there for such a cheap price. What do you think about Josh Reynolds?
I like him, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of touches. I don't think he's going to get a lot of attempts, like passes thrown to him. I think he's going to be like a second or third option type guy, and I don't think he's going to be able to get the ball a lot due to that. I don't think he's going to be a first option guy in any of the plays they run. And Goff likes to go to his first option more times than not.
Yeah. So, I don't really have any other long shot plays. I mean, obviously,
There's only a handful, not even a handful of players.
But if you had to pick one of these defenses to have the most points of the two, who would you pick? Would it be the pass rush of the Rams causing problems, or would it be the inexperience of Jared Goff against the Patriots defense? What is more trust? What do you trust?
I trust that defensive line more. I Aaron Donald over Jared Goff is basically what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Aaron Donald is just a monster. We saw him. He's Thanos. He's basically Thanos in human skin.
Are you worried about Jared Goff's first time playing in the Super Bowl?
Am I what?
Are you worried about Jared
worried.
Goff?
Oh yeah, I've been worried this whole playoffs because he's.
But
not
are you
been...
worried less knowing that Eli won against Brady in his first round, and also Nick Foles' first time last year, he killed it?
But they were having good postseason performances before then. He has not had good postseason performances for them. Before then is what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that the passing game will be disrupted. I think the Patriots passing game will be a little bit disrupted. Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, man, on their best day, good luck. And as good as the Patriots have been, only 11% of the time has Brady been pressured on dropbacks this postseason, which is incredibly low. Something just tells me they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. The Rams are going to rush the passer a little bit more, pin those ears back, and get to Brady, fluster him a little bit. We know that when you get to him, he can't move away. You know, he's really good at getting rid of the ball, but when he doesn't, he's a sitting duck back there.
Yeah. And sitting duck is perfect term.
Yeah. So let's go back. I mean, obviously we've given our picks for the players, what we think will happen. Going into next season, is Jared Goff a top 5 quarterback in fantasy drafts? Not top 5 overall pick, but top 5 quarterback picked in next year's season-long fantasy.
Well, I'm actually kind of glad you asked because I had the leaders for points this season.
He's up there. I don't know where he finished, but he was before the end of the season. He was like in the top 3 or 4 before like the last couple weeks because he killed.
This is the regular season from week 1 to 17. He's number 8. In front of him are Mahomes, Ryan, Roethlisberger, Watson, Luck, and Gurley, and Rodgers.
Wait, Gurley.
I'm sorry. This is all points in general.
Okay.
Total points in general.
Gotcha.
Gurley's the most points running back wise. When it comes down to quarterbacks, he's behind Mahomes,
God,
Ryan.
That just tell you how good Gurley was this year?
He was better than Breeze in points. Goff was better than Breeze in points by 7. That's incredible to me.
So, do you think Goff is top 5 next year?
Top 5 quarterbacks selected?
Yes. Who would you pick ahead of him?
Breeze, Mahomes,
for sure.
Luck.
Probably Rodgers, too. Would you go Rodgers?
I'm having doubts. I don't know because the new coach, new scheme, everything. I don't know.
Isn't that crazy to say?
Well, because he had to struggle this season.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I know.
I'm just saying
crazy. It's crazy.
Take a step back for a moment and be like, am I actually thinking of Aaron Rodgers the top 5 fantasy quarterback next year? Now? Like, this is the first time it's happened in about a decade.
That sounds accurate. But let's see my 5. Mahomes.
Sure.
I'm going to go
Mahomes would be the number 1, right?
Yeah. Breeze.
Yes.
Andrew Luck.
Uh-huh.
I would even put Deshaun Watson up there.
You could even put Matt Ryan, too. He
I was
throws
considering,
a lot of yards.
I was considering Matt Ryan, but
yeah.
I might have to put Roethlisberger up there because they lost Bell.
What about Russell Wilson?
He's not my top 5.
Really?
Yeah, but the thing is, in the rankings, he's below Goff, Breeze, Rodgers, everybody else.
Right.
So I'm gonna honestly go.
I
with
think Wilson has tremendous upside, though.
The thing is, his receiving core is icky to me.
The thing about Wilson is that he didn't run that much this year.
That is also a problem.
When he runs, I mean, when he gets 500 yards a season on the ground, that's literally like 50.
That's why I have
right
Deshaun Watson above him, because he's so good on the ground, and he has Deshaun Hopkins to throw to, and Hopkins can catch anything.
Watson for
that's
sure.
That's why he's in my top 5. And Luck's in my top 5. Him and Hilton are getting down to it, and he's just Andrew Luck's been playing awesome since he returned.
Plus, the Colts they're always going to be a passing team. They're always going to be a passing team with Andrew Luck.
And Frank Wright has been doing a great job doing that, taking advantage of the throwing game. And Luck, comeback player of the year in my mind. I don't think there's any question.
Is Todd Gurley the number 1 pick in next year's fantasy football drafts?
I can see it in some.
What if you learn that he's been playing with a torn insert ligament here, not called an ACL, and that he needs off-season surgery? Is he still the number 1 pick?
If they say he's back by OTAs, then yes.
If it's not an ACL, every other ligament in the knee is like a 3 to 4 month injury. So
he will be be back by the preseason.
I can guarantee he's not playing on a torn ACL. You can't walk on a torn
ACL. He's definitely a first. At least either him or Barkley are going first. That's how I'm seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
I can see even Christian McCaffrey going first, but I might have to put Barkley. I would pick Barkley above Gurley in my opinion. It's tough. It's a tough call, but Barkley's just been that top guy in New York for the time being. So I might have to go Barkley over Gurley. But it's definitely having the first pick this next season. You're gonna have a tough decision ahead of you because
Elliott, Barkley,
I would put
Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, even though he missed the season.
Christian McCaffrey, you got to think about. I would take him. I would see him being first overall pick. Don't you see Christian McCaffrey might be going number 1 or 2?
I'm going to say absolutely not, just because I don't think Cam Newton's going to play.
Oh, he doesn't have that target. I see what you're saying.
If Cam doesn't play, I don't want anything to do with that offense.
So,
because I'll tell you right now, the
season afterwards and Newton returns.
We'll look.
Okay.
We don't know about season afterwards, but
true.
If an offense, even if they lose like 4 or 5 points per game in real football, then that means your fantasy running back is probably going to suffer the consequences.
Mm-hmm. But when they run the football more, in theory,
they might run the football more. But you want McCaffrey catching the football.
True, he is dangerous.
That's where he was.
But he's dangerous on both ends too. You can't take away his running ability. But I understand his passing game is what made him so strong.
You want an offense though where there's a threat of pass because you don't want 9 guys following Christian McCaffrey around.
All right, do you have him as your second running back? Maybe.
As of right now, as of today, I would not pick McCaffrey in the top 5.
Okay.
Just because
Cam Newton's gone, that's a huge hole. That's a huge hole because who's going to be their quarterback? We don't know.
So here's the thing: I like to eliminate risk with my first pick.
I completely agree. I obviously some people didn't decide that with Le'Veon Bell this season.
Yeah.
But
so in my opinion, these are the players I for sure want over McCaffrey, no questions asked. Even if Cam Newton was healthy, I would still take these players over him. Barkley, Elliott, Gurley, and then after that, like that. For sure. Those 3 for sure.
What about Kamara?
I'd seriously consider Kamara, especially because
I had a feeling that's who you were thinking about.
Because Ingram might be gone. He's a free agent, which I expect him to be gone. So if that's true, definitely Ingram over McCaffrey.
The top running backs with the most points, the top 3, number 1 was Gurley, number 2 was Barkley, and number 3 was actually McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. Then it was Kamara, then it was Elliott.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Would you even consider James Conner over McCaffrey since Cam Newton's gone?
Say it again.
Would you consider James Conner over Christian McCaffrey due to Cam Newton not being there?
Yeah. I mean, we're projecting right now, so if we're assuming Le'Veon's gone, then I put Conner.
And we're also assuming. It sounds like to me it's almost a foregone conclusion that Cam Newton's not playing next season.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're not taking this against McCaffrey. We're taking it just against what he has. Like, who's going to be his quarterback to throw him the ball and make those amazing plays?
It's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Panthers.
Yeah. And if they get a quarterback in the offseason that we think could you like Ryan Fitzpatrick? Maybe I would consider maybe McCaffrey goes up because we know Fitzpatrick can put up points.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
We don't know. Like, what if a guy like Josh McCown became available and was the quarterback? I might be comfortable picking up McCaffrey just because I know that the quarterback can actually throw the football. Like,
right.
He might not be Cam Newton, but hey, Cam Newton wasn't Cam Newton this year either.
Absolutely not. But if it was a Josh McCown, I would still be hesitant still to buy.
What if it's like a Bridgewater?
I feel like Bridgewater would take some of those instead of going the short route, short passes. He would run the ball. Well, doesn't it feel like that, or do you think his knee would make him pass more? Think first to pass.
Yeah.
That's a tricky. I don't think he's a light like Cam Newton, but I think that's a judgment call right there. That's a tough call.
So let's wrap up this show. Again, you think the Patriots will win 38-35. Yes. I got the Rams 31-28. I think it'll be a good game. Good luck to everybody out there.
Oh,
Make
everyone's
sure
gonna
you
have a great
choose
time.
the right captain or you're screwed.
Yeah, and more like it's the Super Bowl. Have a good time with who you're hanging out with.
Have a good time. Don't check the score unless your player is going off your captain, and then you can.
Don't look until the end of the game. You don't need to look during the game because then you're not going to enjoy yourselves. Because regardless, there's going to be someone that's going to struggle.
Yep. All right, so we'll see you Monday as we recap the incredible Super Bowl 53.
Alleged great Super Bowl 53.
Incredible Super Bowl 53.
But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.